on a blank piece of paper in here. So it can be on the back of your drawing that you just did, your upside down drawing. It can be on the back, it can be on the next page over, whatever works for you. You're gonna take one of these pink sheets of paper and you're gonna lay it down on top of your paper and you're gonna trace it twice. So you're gonna trace, so you have 2 boxes on your sheet. Oops. And it doesn't have to be a stressful thing. It can be just traced very simply and just, again, right underneath. And then you can just, so you'll have 2 boxes on the same piece of paper when you're done. And then you can set that aside for a second. You won't need that for a little while. And what we're going to do on this piece of paper, I'll even zoom in here for you. On this piece of paper, we're going to draw in a profile on the left side. We're going to use one line to draw a profile on the left side of our paper. And so it should go from this top part of the paper, the line should start up here and it should end here. So it shouldn't end or start on the side at all, because then it won't work. So you want your line to start here and end here. It should just be one smooth line. It doesn't need to be super complicated, but you do have to make it a recognizable profile. So the edge of someone's face. It can be a person, it can be an animal, I don't care, but it should be more than just like a straight line. Okay, so challenge yourself a little bit. There should be an obvious area where the nose is, an obvious area where the mouth is, chin, forehead, things like that. So what you're going to do is, and feel free to erase. I'm going to use this darker pencil because I want you guys to be able to see it. But you can use either pencil. And you're just going to draw forehead, nose, mouth, chin. It doesn't have to be a appealing person either. And that's the easy part. The hard part now is we're going to try to draw that same line, the mirror image of it on this side. So you're trying to draw that profile facing this way on the other side. So that's what's tricky. So there are a few tips I can give you. One thing you can do is you could use a real ruler if you wanted, or I think it's easy enough to just use your fingers as a guideline and give yourself some little, anytime there's a significant change in depth of that line, you can give yourself a little guideline, like a little dot, so you know where those changes are going to take place roughly. And this, again, I mean, you could be more specific with this if you wanted. You really could be more specific with it if you used a ruler. But again, it's up to you how much you want to do ahead of time. The big thing that I think is really hard to understand, but very, very helpful if you can understand it, is instead of trying to draw this profile, pretend that this middle piece is going to be a vase and try to balance out this vase. So instead of if you can kind of trick yourself into thinking about it in a different way, it can be a little bit easier. So if you can imagine that there's going to be this sort of vase-like form in the middle, then that is a little bit easier to draw, I think, because then it's just a matter of making that symmetrical, just making that vase symmetrical. Either way works for you. And this is where you're probably going to be more sketchy than just one smooth line, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. You're going to cut both of these lines out anyway, so it's all right if it's a little sketchy. So on that note, I will show you how I would do it. And again, you feel free to erase. See, I'm already second guessing that line I left myself. I think that's a little too far out. So again, trying to just draw and even out what that vase would look like. Oh, getting a little carried away. This is the tricky thing, and there are plenty of places, I'm going really fast, there are plenty of places that I can already tell I would need to redo or erase, but for time's sake, I'm going to move on. So that's the general part. So you have 3 things here. You have 2 faces facing each other and a vase in the middle. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a scissors, and there are scissors over on that counter. Instead of on that table, they're on the counter now. And you're just going to cut on each of these lines. And, you know, I want you to make it challenging enough so that, you know, it's more than just one straight line. But I also don't want you to make it so challenging that you can't finish it. Like if you have super jagged teeth or something like that, just realize it's going to take you a really long time not only to draw it on the other side, but to cut it out as well. So you don't, you know, this, what I just did is definitely challenging enough. You don't have to make it so complicated that we can't move on. And when you're all done, you're going to have 3 pieces of paper. Oh, I have to set glue sticks out. I'll get the glue sticks out and I'll put them over by the scissors. And you're going to go back to your portfolio and you're going to put the vase in one box and glue it down and the faces in the other. And if it bugs you to see your pencil marks, I don't care if you do it that way, that's fine, but then you'll see the back of that paper. And then you can just, and that's all this is, it's faces and vases. So you're going to glue those down. And that doesn't take much time, but it's kind of a little exercise to get you to try to see things differently. Try to see a different, try to look for a different shape other than the original subject. Try to kind of trick yourself into drawing it correctly. All right?